A very good morning, Team Zimbabwe, and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network. And this morning, we need to take a look on a very important issue. There is a dream which somebody shared with me, and in that dream, he said he saw VP Chiwenga leading a country, and he clearly stated that people were going with their problems to VP Chiwenga, asking for assistance, but he did not see VP Chiwenga managing to resolve the problems which were brought to him by people. But what is of significance is to understand that there is a quest to try and stop VP Chiwenga from taking over the throne as the next president of the Republic of Zimbabwe, or merely to contest as a presidential candidate of ZANU-PF. So what is happening? I need to try and unpack what is in this dream which was shared to me, and what is on the ground, so as to understand what is really happening within the politics of Zimbabwe and find some probabilities. So what is happening is, here's the clear dream. This person says he was dreaming and he was in a rural area, and VP Chiwenga suddenly appeared, and he was so nice to everybody who was around, and he looked as if he was in charge. Everybody was coming to say, Mr. President, we need ABCD here, we need ABCD here. So these were requests which were being made to VP Chiwenga. But that person says he did not see those requests being fulfilled. But what is of significance is that one key issue which was being asked by one of the people was water, to say, can we have water at this particular place? And water, prophetically, it signifies life. Whenever you see people talking about water, there is life. So it seems as if going forward, you are going to see a lot of calls to VP Chiwenga to say, Mr. VP, can you save the people of Zimbabwe? Can you bring back life to the people of Zimbabwe? There is a great possibility that you are going to see such things happening. But let us ask some very key questions, because the issue right here is about the succession within the ZANU-PF structures. Who is going to take over from Emmerson Mnangagwa? That is very important. So if you take a look on the comrades who performed a coup in Zimbabwe, the majority of them, they are no longer alive. They have gone. Anaparent Shiri, SB Moyo, and all other influential people, they've gone. And we now have General Lasara and the then commander Zimbabwe National Army, who is now the CDF commander. Those are two prominent people who are left within that clique, Yese Yakadaro. And VP Chiwenga was at a certain point in time very sick and was airlifted to various countries, and he ended up in China. And for a very long time, he could not perform his duties as a vice president. But he suddenly came back and he was looking fit, and up to this day, he's running around doing his errands as the vice president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. The major question is, what saved VP Chiwenga? That is very important. When you need to deal with this whole situation, ask yourself this question: what saved VP Chiwenga? And if you can get that answer, it's God who saved VP Chiwenga. The major question is, why did God save VP Chiwenga? Is it because his time had not come? Or is it because he does have something very significant and very important to fulfill? In the just ended election, there was a perception that VP Chiwenga was going to unite with Tim Kasukwere to try and dislodge the incumbent by simply splitting the votes. That didn't work. VP Chiwenga went on to the side of Emmerson Mnangagwa, Auxilia Mnangagwa, and they worked together. And Xavier Kasukwere lost his presidential bid. He failed even to file as a presidential candidate successfully. He was nominated, but he was removed from the ballot illegally. So he failed. VP Chiwenga failed to protect him. And this now brings this whole issue together. Now that there are calls for a third term for 2030 Tinenge Tichipo, either a third term or an extension, this is where VP Chiwenga is of significance. I know a lot of you will say Mangai and Madaraya, but you have to remember that one of them is very important. If we need to have a new Zimbabwe, one of them is very important. So one way or the other, you will need him. This is my own view. From all these dreams, I can tell you that VP Chiwenga is needed or will be needed in the future for the sake of the people of Zimbabwe, for the sake of a transition to happen in Zimbabwe. You will need VP Chiwenga because as a military man, he knows something we do not know. As a military man, he does have some connections which we do not have, or the opposition does not have. So what is the possibility? My interpretation is, as time goes on, you are going to see these power battles, you are going to see them turn nasty in the near future. And when that happens, you are going to see VP Chiwenga rising up, taking over the mantle. But it's not going to work alone. It's either he's going to elevate some comrades to say, okay, comrades, I'm giving you this country, take over the country, lead the country, I'm retiring. Or he is going to lead for a few months as the president, deputized by very prominent people, very key people within the opposition. And that will be a moment of transition from the old to the new. This is my own view. And I'm taking this from all these dreams which have been put in place, because in the past we talked about Sevia Kasukwere's failure and VP Chiwenga's failure to protect him. And right now, another dream has come where a lot of people were asking VP Chiwenga to say, we need water. And what does that mean? It means water is life. People are saying we need life, which means in the near future, you are going to see calls being made to VP Chiwenga to say, come and save the people of Zimbabwe. So remember, this is just a dream, and we will see how everything is going to end. But we need to take a look on a very important issue which was raised by others, which is believed to have been raised prophetically, so that we get to understand which is right, which is wrong. And let us take a look on Majara Jairos. Majara Jairos says, now that Eddie Cross has confirmed it, that Chiwenga will never rule this country, even for 5 minutes, you know who is next in line. It is going to be Advocate Nelson Chamisa, possibly working together with Christopher Atikurema Nizim Changwa for the sake of our country. Is there a probability or a possibility of Nelson Chamisa working with Chris Mchangwa? Yes, it might happen, but I don't see Muchangwa as a trusted person who can actually work well with President Advocate Nelson Chamisa. I don't think that setup will work. In my own view, I think that Nelson Chamisa can possibly work with the VP Chiwenga for quite some time. And VP Chiwenga will say, I'm retiring, I'm leaving everything for you. The reason why I don't believe Chris Mchangwa will be able to fill that vacuum is because Chris Mchangwa himself is too pompous. But more importantly, he is too ambitious that he will crush Nelson Chamisa at every opportunity he gets. So he might use Nelson Chamisa for the sake of being elevated, but he will try by all means possible to crush Advocate Nelson Chamisa thereafter. So personally, I rule out Chris Mchangwa in all this. But VP Chiwenga knows that one way or the other, he's not going to survive what is happening within ZANU-PF without the opposition. That is the reason why you see VP Chiwenga being elevated and being used by God to work with the opposition, so that they can bring a transition, they can bring that new Zimbabwe which everybody is yearning for. But what is very important right here is that Majara Jairos spoke about divine revelation, dictating that Chiwenga will never rule Zimbabwe. zvikanzi hafe akaitonga ndopamuchazva kuti there is no honor among sadists. Yes, these guys, they don't want VP Chiwenga to take over this country because they believe that is going to send a lot of them to jail for the corruption which is happening. He has tried by all means possible to distance himself from the corruption which is happening, from the scandals which are happening. You have not heard the scandals being put on VP Chiwenga. You have not heard VP Chiwenga's name being called into action. Wherever you hear about corruption, you do not hear the name of VP Chiwenga surfacing. That is very important to note. Remember, the CDF commander in an interview clearly stated that what we wanted in a new democratic Zimbabwe was overtaken by greedy people, was overtaken by the need to have everything for oneself. That is the situation we have, which means there is an agreement within the military cycles to say the corruption which is happening in Zimbabwe must end, must stop, and the people of Zimbabwe must benefit. I believe that all the military men we have, they have some sense that there is need for Zimbabwe to move in a different direction. But remember, it's not an easy task to say you're a deputy or you are elsewhere, not in the executive, and you cannot influence some decisions. So personally, I believe that what is happening at this moment in time is going to define the future, is going to define what's supposed to happen in the future. And if you take a look on these things very closely, there is a great possibility that VP Chiwenga will emerge victorious within the ZANU-PF factional fights. One day, he will be declared the sole leader of ZANU-PF. But you will have to work with Nelson Chamisa for him to be able to win, which means you are going to see a likelihood of VP Chiwenga having a coalition with Advocate Nelson Chamisa. That will be a transitional government, and VP Chiwenga will leave everything to Nelson Chamisa and the future generations to lead. That is where you see Nelson Chamisa being part of the government. People like Wanaka Sukwere, there's a great possibility that they will be returned to say, guys, you are young. Can you lead this country? Can you provide a vision for this country? That is where you are going to see that kind of a generation of young leaders who are going to transform Zimbabwe into something else. That is where you see people like Vanawota Mzembe being brought in. So I don't believe that God saved General Chiwenga for nothing. He does have a role to play, a very significant key role to play. And at this moment in time, he's so vulnerable, and without Nelson Chamisa, politically, he's finished. So from this dream, I perceive that there is going to be a sort of an alliance. And this is a confirmation of the people who are coming in next to each other. Simba Mkanda Samazganze, is this really true? Thank you very much, Mukoma Simba, for the contribution. Fadzai Majengo, we just need change, not this ZANU-PF, ZANU of thugs. Welcome, Akusha Mfana say thank you very much for the updates. This is Ernest Uraya. How are you? Koma Ernest, thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much for coming. And I just made a decision to bring this dream, which was shared to me with somebody else who said he saw in a vision VP Chiwenga surrounded by some people. It was looking like a garden, but people were making requests to VP Chiwenga. And one of the key requests was that we need water. What does that mean? Biblically, prophetically, it means water means life. So that is very important, which means a lot of people are going to start making calls to VP Chiwenga to say, we need change. And one of the important things in that dream is that you are so nice to the people. He was listening to the people, and we are going to watch and see if he's going to show such a character in the near future. Zimbabweans need change, but at times we need to understand how change comes in a nation like Zimbabwe. It won't be an issue of going to an election, having change coming that like what happened in Senegal. I don't believe that what happened in Senegal is going to happen in Zimbabwe. What we needed happened in 2023. It was a moment of separation of people to say, Taiwan like Sylvia Kasukwera iti ndine vanhu. Vamwe vachiti ndine vanhu, vamwe vachiti ndine vanhu. There was supposed to be a contestation. That contestation happened, and Nelson Chamisa proved that he is the people's choice. What does that mean? It means at any point in time, people would trust Nelson Chamisa more than any other person. Soon after the elections, Xavier Kasukwere failed to deal with the issue of his removal from the ballot. He failed to deal with that issue. If he had masses on the ground, he would have stopped that whole election. Yanga isingazoitiki, but he failed because he had no numbers, which means Nelson Chamisa is the only person at this moment in time. Everybody is looking at Nelson Chamisa saying, Twitter saying, Kuru, what is the way forward? Everybody, soon after the elections, up to this day, they are asking for Nelson Chamisa for direction, which means Nelson Chamisa is very significant in everything. And you cannot rule out having Nelson Chamisa. But winning an election alone does not guarantee power or does not warrant power. There is need for the power makers to be involved in everything which happens. And these are very important issues which we are going to talk about for a very long time, so that as the people of Zimbabwe, we understand and conscientize each other about what needs to be done, what will be next. So in my own view, this is my now my own view from this dream. I can safely say in conclusion, there is going to be a coalition of VP Chiwenga and President Advocate Nelson Chamisa, which is going to be necessitated by the events which are going to unfold within ZANU-PF itself. So this is my own view, this is my own thinking, and Nelson Chamisa, that is how is going to be part of the leadership and part of the future. It is going to be a transitional moment, but we are going to have a link, the old linking the new to the power structures, so that Zimbabwe is left in the hands of good people. Alloyed zvikanzi madreams evanhu vemuzimbabwe awandisa achamisa akaendepi. Okay, this is Alloyed. Chamisa is still in the picture, Chamisa is still there, but linking these things, I am saying before 2028 you are going to see a transition happening, and that transition is going to help Nelson Chamisa to bounce back into the fold so that it can be part of the future. I'm trying to link these dreams with other prophecies from various people. I can relate to prophecies of Prophet Peter Wellington. It does not specify what will happen, but something will happen in between. Pastor Ian Lovo, he also speaks the same, almost similar dreams with those of Prophet Peter Wellington. And these dreams coming in, it shows that Chiwenga is the bridge. He's going to be the bridge to that new great Zimbabwe we all love, we all need to have. But Chiwenga will not do it alone. He will need Nelson Chamisa if there is anything meaningful to happen. But as I always say, just remember that the power makers made a decision and there is nothing human beings can do about it. Nelson Chamisa will lead Zimbabwe, and we are still waiting for that time to come where Zimbabweans are going to be happy, where Zimbabweans are going to flock back to their own country. So I don't want to take much of your time. Let us end it here. I have been facing some challenges, network challenges, work commitment, but now I believe that I'll be able to come regularly so that we talk about what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe. Please continue subscribing, commenting, sharing, and supporting us. My name is Ronald Wekwa Makusha.